Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we collect the seeds from tall garden phlox. So let's go. I absolutely love tall phlox. I think it looks so pretty in the late summer, early fall garden. And there are a bunch of different types of tall garden phlox out there. This video will apply to all the different kinds of varieties. I only have a small amount of this plant in my garden and I want to add to my collection. One of the easiest ways to propagate this plant is through division. And in fact, I've made a video showing you my process for dividing tall phlox. I'll put a link to it down in the description below. Today's video is going to focus on what to look for if you want to collect the seeds of the plant. The seeds of many perennials require what's called a cold stratification period. I like to provide that by doing the winter sowing process. However, you can mimic it by putting the seeds in your fridge or your freezer for a period of time. You could also do something very simple, which is collect the seeds and scatter them in a garden bed. But I would call that the least reliable method because there's a chance that the plants might rot outside, or there also is a chance that a bird or a rodent might come along and eat the seeds. Another way that you can propagate tall phlox is through cuttings. There are so many different ways to propagate this plant. I say try a method. It's totally worth it. You don't have much to lose, but you have a lot to gain. It's a great way to add free plants in your garden. Timing is everything when you're collecting the seeds. You want to make sure that the seed pods are not green in color. You want to wait until the seed pods have turned a light brown or a tan color. But in this case, I waited too long and the seed pods burst open and released the seeds. So on your tall phlox, if you ever see this, it looks like little stars. That means that the seed pods have already turned brown, they've opened up, and they've released the seeds. However, I do have a few seed pods that have not opened up yet. So let's go ahead and collect the seed pods, and then I can show you what the seeds look like. I don't know the colors of the tall phlox seeds that I'm collecting today, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. I know that they're going to be very pretty. This seed pod right here still has some green coloring to it, so it may not have seeds that are viable. However, the rest of the seed pods on here, I'm pretty sure, have seeds that are ready for collecting. Before I go ahead and remove this whole thing off the plant, let's go ahead and take one seed pod off just to check. Yep, that seed is definitely ready. I didn't want to take a chance and remove all of this in case the seeds were not ready. So we have one good seed here, and we know that because it's black in color. But let's go ahead and remove all of these and we'll see how many more seeds we end up with. If you're collecting seed pods from tall phlox and you know the color of them, that's great. You can go ahead and label the bag that you're going to put them in with the color. However, in my yard, it's a mix of different tall phlox that I planted this year. So it'll be a nice surprise when they germinate to see what color they end up being. I do want to show you with all the seed pods on here, some of them will have seeds that are viable and some, their seeds might not be ripe. That's okay. And what will end up happening with the seeds that are not ripe is unfortunately they will not ripen now that we've pulled them off the plant. But no problem because we have enough seeds that we're collecting today. Most of the seeds on this plant here are definitely not ready for me to harvest. And I can tell because the seed pods are green. So rather than removing this whole entire thing, what I can do is it looks like there are some seeds on here that might be ready for picking because the seed pods are brown. So let's go ahead and check. I'm glad we checked. Notice the color. It's a green color. That means it is not ripe. I can't bring this inside and let it ripen inside. I really want to make sure that the seeds ripen on the plant. So we're going to leave this alone and I can come back on a different day and check it again. See what I mean? It's definitely tricky. These seeds have already opened up and I can't collect the seeds from them anymore. But as long as I'm able to collect enough from my yard, I'm happy with that. I am not taking my chances with this one. I can see on there are seed pods that are ready to go and there are seed pods that are still green. You can't wait for all the seed pods to turn that tan or brown color because then you might miss the opportunity. I'm just using my fingers to remove the seed pods off the plant. You could come in with hand pruners also to go ahead and just cut off the seed pods. A lot of times I like to have a bag handy to put these in, but I don't have a bag on me right now and that totally works. See what I mean? We can't wait for those green ones to turn brown. We just have to harvest them when we have time. I brought the seeds and the seed pods indoors. You can see I laid them on a piece of paper
I like to store them in small bags like this. You can also store them in a paper bag or an envelope. The key is make sure that the seeds are completely dry before you store them. I like to let them dry for about a week before storing them. The seeds will get stored in a cool, dark, dry location. I like to label the bag with what the name of the seed is, so Tall Garden Phlox, and it's a mix of different colors. I also like to put the year that I collected the seeds. That way I know how viable the seeds are. Each year that goes by, the seeds lose their viability, meaning they're less and less likely to germinate as each year goes by. The non-seed material is called chaff. I don't need to keep that. I'll be throwing that away. So what I like to do is just separate the seeds from the non-seed material. Tall phlox seeds need darkness to germinate. So if you're going to sow them indoors or outdoors, you want to make sure that you're covering them just lightly with potting mix or seed starting mix or even garden soil. Also, many of the tall phlox that are out there are hybrids. So what that means is when you grow a plant from seed, there's a chance that the plant might not look identical to the parent. I'm okay with that because I'm a home gardener and I like experimenting. But if you want an identical copy of the plant, your best bet is to divide the plant or to take cuttings and propagate it that way.
Be on the lookout for a future video where I show you my process for winter sowing the tall phlox seed. Let me know if you have tall phlox in your garden, and if so, what color or what variety. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.